Hello, thank you for joining with me. We are in chapter 31 of A Course in Miracles, the final vision. This is the complete and annotated edition edited by Robert Perry. This is section 3 of chapter 31, the sleeping prisoner. If you'd like to close your eyes and join me in prayer, if you're able to, of course. Please do not close your eyes if you're driving. Sorry. All right. Dear God, please enable me an open mind and a new experience with today's reading and all things. Help me to be who you would have me be, do what you would have me do, go where you would have me go, and say what you would have me say, and to whom, dear God. God, I thank you for my many, many blessings. Amen. All right. Thank you for joining with me. Section 3 of chapter 31, the sleeping prisoner. Only the self-accused condemn. As we prepare to make a choice that will result in different outcomes, there is first one thing that must be overlearned. It must become a habit of response so typical of everything you do that it becomes your first response to all temptation and to every situation that occurs. Learn this and learn it well, for it is here delay of happiness is shortened by a span of time you cannot realize. You never hate your brother for his sins, but only for your own. Whatever form his sins appear to take, the form obscures the fact that you believe them to be yours, and therefore meriting a just attack. Why should his sins be sins if you did not believe they could not be forgiven in you? Why are they real in him if you did not believe that they are your reality? And why do you attack them anywhere except you hate yourself? Are you a sin? You answer yes whenever you attack, for by attack do you assert that you are guilty and must give as you deserve. And what can you deserve but what you are? If you did not believe that you deserved attack, it would never occur to you to give attack to anyone at all. Why should you? What would be the gain to you? What could the outcome be that you would want? And how could murder bring you benefit? We're going to go down and read footnote 9. This paragraph provides evidence for the key assertion in paragraph 1 that you never hate your brother for his sins, but only for your own. This paragraph seems to contain two main ideas. First, that the sins you see in your brother only seem like real, unforgivable sins that can justly be attacked because that is how you see your own sins. In other words, it is only because your sins feel so solid and immovable that your brother's sins seem set in stone. Were you not seeing him through the lens of your rock-like sins, his would appear as they are, insubstantial and forgivable. Second, that you only attack his sins because you believe that you deserve attack yourself, due to your sinfulness. Apparently, you recognize somewhere inside that whatever you give, you will receive. Based on that, you give attack so that it will loop around and come back to you. Because in your feelings of sinfulness, you believe you deserve nothing better. Both of these ideas add up to the same conclusion. It is only the sins you see in yourself that lead you to hate and attack the sins in your brother. And back to the text. Sins are in bodies. They are not perceived in minds. They are not seen as purposes but actions. Bodies act and minds do not, and therefore must the body be at fault for what it does. It is not seen to be a passive thing obeying your commands and doing nothing of itself at all. If you are sin, you are a body, for the mind acts not. And purpose must be in the body, not in the mind. The body must act on its own and motivate itself. If you are sin, you lock the mind within the body, and you give its purpose to its prison house, which acts instead of it. A jailer does not follow orders, but enforces orders on the prisoner. Yet is the body prisoner and not the mind. The body thinks no thoughts. It has no power to learn, to pardon or enslave. It gives no orders that the mind need serve, nor sets conditions that it must obey. It holds in prison but the willing mind that would abide in it. It sickens at the bidding of the mind that would become its prisoner. And it grows old and dies because that mind is sick within itself. Learning is all that causes change. And so the body, where no learning can occur, could never change, unless the mind preferred the body change in its appearances to suit the purpose given by the mind. For it can learn, and there is all change made. The mind that thinks it is a sin but has one purpose, that the body be the source of sin and keep it in the prison house it chose and guards, wherein it holds itself at bay. We're going to go ahead and read footnote 10. Pronoun clarification, that the body be the source of sin and keep it, the mind, in the prison house. The mind choose and guards, wherein it, the mind, holds itself at bay. And back to the text. A sleeping prisoner to the snarling dogs of hate and evil, sickness and attack, of pain and age, of grief and suffering. Here are the thoughts of sacrifice preserved, for here guilt rules and orders that the world be like itself, a place where nothing can find mercy or survive the ravages of fear except in murder and in death. For here are you made sin, and for here are you made sin, and sin cannot abide the joyous, nor accept the free, for they are the enemies which sin must kill. In death is sin preserved, and those who think that they are sin must die for what they are. Let us be glad that you will see what you believe, and that it has been given you to change what you believe. The body will but follow. It can never lead you where you would not be. It does not guard your sleep nor interfere with your awakening. Release your body from imprisonment, and you will see no one as prisoner to what you have escaped. You will not want to hold in guilt your chosen enemies, nor keep in chains to the illusion of a changing love the ones you think are friends. The innocent release in gratitude for their release. So the innocent releasing gratitude for their release. And what they see upholds their freedom from an imprisonment and death. Open your mind to change, and there will be no ancient penalty exacted from your brother or yourself. For God has said there is no sacrifice that can be asked. There is no sacrifice that can be made. And this is the commentary by Robert Perry, day 357, The Sleeping Prisoner. This section opens with a statement of importance of which cannot be overstated. It tells us that we can shorten our journey home by a span of time you cannot realize. If we learn one single idea, you never hate your brother for his sins, but only for your own. We have to do more, however, than merely learn this idea. We have to learn it well, so well that we overlearn it, which, as I pointed out the other day, means to continue to study and memorize well past the point of initial mastery, so that one attains automatic recall. We need to make it such an ingrained, habitual response that it becomes our very first response to all upsets, and indeed to every situation. Amen. To be honest, I've never liked the huge significance this section grants the learning of this one idea. The idea is so counterintuitive that it's hard for me to work out in my mind how it's true. And that makes it extremely hard to imagine myself ever learning it to the degree he describes. Yet, Jesus just taught me 2 sections ago that my belief that the Course is too hard to learn is really just a front for all the old learning in me that doesn't want to budge. Perhaps today, then, I can make friends with this idea in a way that I haven't managed before. What stands out to me right now in studying this section is the repeated reference to our belief that we are sin, that we are ACIM, or sin. I count 6 references to this idea, and then he lists those out in the sections. Once we believe that single idea, all the negative things described in this section will flow automatically. First, we are compelled to see that the sin that we think we are in others, where we find ourselves unable to forgive it, after all, we are seeing in them the black lump of our own unforgivable sin. How could we forgive it? Second, we are compelled to attack. We think of attack as an attempt to defend ourselves or get some prize we value. But underneath those surface motivations, attack is a simplistic way of confirming to ourselves that we are sin. Isn't that what the sinful do? Attack? Something twisted in us even wants the backlash that comes from our attack, for it constitutes further confirmation that we are sin. Indeed, we fully expect our attacks to one day catch up with us so fully that they kill us. But in our eyes, even that is a good thing, yet more confirmation that we are sin. Third, we believe that we are a body. Sins, after all, seem to be something that bodies do. This becomes clear if you think about animal bodies. What do? They prey on other bodies, driven by instincts for aggression and self-preservation. The body is, as the Course puts it, the engine of destruction, and sin is destruction. Thus, if we are sin, then we must be a body. And if we are a body, then our mind is along for the ride. It must watch while its instincts for love are constantly overridden by the body's instincts for violence. I think of videos I've seen of lions lovingly treating animal prey, gazelles, wildebeest, monkeys, as their own cubs. The mind of the lion clearly has the same instincts for love and affection that our mind has. Yet those higher instincts are usually helplessly swept aside by brutal impulses coursing through the lion's body. Is our situation really all that different? Jesus, however, is teaching us that none of this is true. The mind is not at the mercy of the body. It is not a sleeping prisoner to the snarling dogs of hate and evil. The mind is 100% in charge. It's the body that's along for the ride. It doesn't do anything, including getting sick, growing old, and dying, except by the mind's commands. It's merely an image streaming from the projector of the mind. Thus, our need is not to have the mind released from its fleshy prison, but rather to release the body from imprisonment, to stop imposing on it blame and sickness and death. As I said, all of the negative symptoms described above follow logically from the single idea of believing that we are sin. Most notably, that belief makes perfect sense of the idea I find so hard to swallow. You never hate your brother for his sins, but only for your own. If I believe I am sin, of course I will have a desperate need to see sins in my brothers. The question then is this: do we believe that we are sin? We should reflect carefully on this question. Can we see symptoms of this belief in ourselves and others? Might this belief not explain a lot about ourselves, like why we are so addicted to seeing sin and to attack? If we do believe it, then what is the way out? Simply to realize that this is why we hate our brothers, not for anything in them, but for something in us. To learn that truth and then to overlearn it, to make it such a habit of thought that it's our very first response to everything that happens. I keep trying. Somebody responded on one of my videos yesterday, because I make videos for lessons. I did it last year and I'm reposting them this year. And I spelt receive wrong, which obviously I know. Well, maybe not obviously, but I know how to spell receive. So it was a mistake. It was carelessness. And somebody had made a comment, I before E except after C. I found it very rude and condescending. And it really bothered me. But this is perfect for that situation. That I believe I hate my brother for something in myself. To learn that truth and then overlearn it, to make such a habit of thought that it's our very first response to everything that happens, including what I labeled a rude comment on one of my videos. Thank you so much for joining with me. I love you. This is the conclusion of week 51. We will be doing our last week 52 together with the Course Companions group. And of course, I'm behind. And I hope you enjoy them. I love you. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.